Sonja Jones of GIP Financials, and welcome to the From Chaos to Clarity Unleash Your Business Potential podcast. So, in this particular episode, this is actually a replay of one of the webinars that we did on January the 4th called How to Hire the Best Bookkeeper. We did that webinar in response to what happened with bench accounting and that sudden shutdown. And we wanted to inform individuals, one, how to prevent situations like that from happening. So if something unexpected happens, how you can maintain your documentation and your financial information. We also talked about the difference between bookkeeping and accounting, the benefits of bookkeeping, and most importantly, what to expect as far as your pricing. We talked about like the common um, pricing ranges and kind of what to expect, so you'll be informed and know what you're investing into. All right. So with that being said, and it's been modified because it was at least close to an hour long. All right. So again, get your pencil and paper. You know I'm going to tell you to go do that, and let's go dig into this episode, y'all. Peace. All right, so the difference between bookkeeping and accounting, we like to compare it to a nurse versus a physician, right? So think about it when you go into your doctor's office, you get checked in, they call you back. What they gonna do? Tell you, get on the scale, they're gonna check your blood pressure, all that type of stuff. Take you to the room, ask you about your medication, why you coming to the doctor, all that stuff. So they basically doing data entry, right? That's the basics of bookkeeping is the data entry. We're taking your income and your expenses and we're categorizing them, right? What type of income? If you're e-commerce, I'll use jewelry making just because I know we got the jewelry maker right on the zone, boop, 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 right? So if Latasha wants to sort her income by earrings, necklaces, bracelets, right? She might be doing some bundles in this thing, right? She might want to sort that income just so she can see how profitable each product is, right? And then also for the expenses, you got your office supplies, you got, your accounting software, you got your contract labor if you're using any social media people or accounting and bookkeeping, things like that. We have to make sure that those expenses, right, most importantly, are ordinary and necessary for your business. So they can be, appropriately categorized as a tax deductible expense. Okay. So bookkeeping is in its foundational essence is data entry. Now let's talk about the accounting. So when we talk about the nurse took all your vitals and all the information. So while they putting it in the system, guess who back there in the office reading all your stuff on the system? The doctor. So the doctor looking at what you got going on, checking your weight, your blood pressure, checking any trends, your visit history, why you're here today, have you been here in the past for it, that whole type of thing. So it's more of an analysis, right, of why you are coming into the office. Same thing with accounting. So every bookkeeper does not have the accounting or the analysis level type of skill, right? So meaning that if once you're putting in that data and then it's time to, generate the profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, and all of that good stuff, some bookkeepers may be able to generate that data, whether you're using accounting software or not, and then to be able to walk you through what those numbers mean might require a certain level of an additional skill, right? So that's where that analysis comes from, to be like, hey, if you want to find out what's going on with your business, you never tell, your accountant or your bookkeeper, like, how is my business doing? That's your job. You ask the bookkeeper or the tax preparer, like, did my business make a profit? You see the difference in that? So in order to get that question answered, that's where the accountant skill is going to come from. Every bookkeeper is not going to be an accountant. So that's where you have to make sure that you are asking the right questions and things like that. Okay. So that's the difference between bookkeeping and accounting. Bookkeeping at its, like I said, at its foundational level is data entry. The accounting part is going to be more of the analysis, right? Just fundamentally speaking. How much does bookkeeping cost? Child, when we were doing the research for the particular accounting firm that just recently had to shut down, we had to really kind of understand where their price points were and what services were being provided. So what we wanted to talk about tonight was the different levels of bookkeeping support. And the way that we kind of figured it, designed it here on the slide is based off of how we do it here at GIP Financials. So we've got do it yourself, we got done with you, and then done for you. I would definitely say when it comes to trying to find a professional for your business finances, always check out what they're offering, for free first, because, you got to, learn people and things like that. And then I think what they say, it takes about a certain number of counts of exposure before people feel, comfortable enough with you to spend money with you, right? So when it comes to do-it-yourself products, that's going to be from free to what we call low ticket, definitely going to be in the three figures, maybe around between 100, maybe $4.99, right? And the purpose of the do-it-yourself is to provide guidance, expert level guidance. You can get that from a podcast. We have a podcast called From Chaos to Clarity, Unleash Your Business Potential. It's free. You can definitely, from my opinion, I like watching on YouTube because we have tons of other videos in addition to the podcast, webinars and lives such as these, right? Because we're giving you guidance on how to find the best bookkeeper for your business. Lives, TikTok live, Instagram lives, Facebook lives, ebooks. When it comes to software, that's pretty much do it yourself as well. Some software you can pay one time to get it, such as the DIY tracker, which we will talk about later on today, and subscription based. GIP Financials, we endorse QuickBooks. To be quite honest, because at the end of the day, no matter where you start in your business, you're going to end up coming back to QuickBooks anyway. So we just going to start with QuickBooks, right? So that's who we choose. There are other, accounting softwares out there. Those just aren't the ones that we support, okay? And then, of course, you got a consultation or discovery call. I did a podcast episode on like budget-friendly bookkeeping, so I always advise when we're teaching, when it comes to consultations, go ahead and come to your consultation with questions so you won't waste, the expert's time. Okay, because in most cases, depending on how their systems are, like our discovery call is 15 minutes, so it's power packed. We going through that thing, but we also have an intake form to kind of help narrow down what our conversation is going to look like by the questions that we ask you. Okay. However, like I said, when it comes to the consultation, make it worth your while by getting your particular questions answered. Okay. So that's do it yourself. Then we got your done with you. The done with you is pretty much going to be your mid ticket. At minimum, it's going to be around $500. Okay. So just be prepared for that. As the do it yourself, that product is going to be more for guidance. This is where you're going to start getting access to the particular expert. Okay, when it comes to done with you, you're still going to have a level of accountability where you're going to have to do the work yourself. Let me be very clear on that. You're going to have to do the work yourself. So some examples of that is community support. We have an online community called GIP Academy for entrepreneurs who are doing their own bookkeeping. They may not be ready for the done for you price point, but they still need access to entrepreneurs not only entrepreneurs, but subject matter experts when it comes to bookkeeping and tax preparation, right? So there's going to be more targeted things that we talk about in GIP Academy for our students that we may not talk about, with the general public. For example, like 1099 support, because we're at the top of the year, we're going to be walking our folks through what the 1099 filing practice is going to be. Next thing is software training. We talked about QuickBooks, right? If you don't know how to set up your QuickBooks to make sure that it's optimized for your business, that's where that software training is going to come through. We call it a QuickBooks setup, okay? As well as if your business is doing payroll, that might be another software setup that you may need. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that come to us already doing their books and just like, hey, Sonja, hey, Latasha, can you just take a look at what I already have and let me know where I stand? That's what we call a financial diagnostic. Okay, well, we go through your books, general turnaround, maybe 7 to 14 days, depending on what your numbers are looking like and how much you have to work with. And then we give you our feedback on where you are, where you stand, what you need to do. And then what we like to do also is just offer and present to you some of those solutions to kind of help you get from point A to point B. And then, of course, again, you might have some consultations as well, depending on what type of consultation that you need. If you've already done a discovery call or a free consultation with your bookkeeper or tax preparer of choice, they're only going to give you one, y'all. So you're going to have to pay, right? So you just got to pay the money so you can get the help that you need. Okay. So that's done with you. Now let's talk about done for you. This is what we call hands-off full service bookkeeping. And the pricing that I'm giving you is kind of like the annual amount. I forgot to mention that. Okay, so when it comes, like I said, to your do-it-yourself, that $4.99 and under is going to be probably the annual investment that you're going to make. Your mid-ticket is going to be a minimum of $500 that you spend, in a year's time. But this done for you, this is a guaranteed 4-figure investment. $4,000 minimum. And you got to think about it. You're going to take that $4,000, you're going to break it up in the month, right? So when it comes to your done for you bookkeeping, this is partnership. This is where we are a part of your business team. So we are here to ensure that you win. Okay? Normally, when it comes to your done for you bookkeeping, write this down. You should be getting, at minimum, your transactions categorized, your accounts reconciled, and you should be getting some reporting. At minimum, profit and loss and balance sheet. Cash flow, it kind of depends, but at minimum, you should be getting profit and loss and balance sheet reporting. Okay? So again, do it yourself. It's going to be for guidance. That's going to be free to about $4.99 on average. Done with you is going to be $500 minimum and up, depending on who you looking at. And then your done for you is going to be your high ticket. This is hands-off bookkeeping. At most, at minimum, $4,000 and up. Okay, but most of that done for you bookkeeping, you're going to be paying it on a monthly basis, not $4,000 a month. Take the 4,000 divided by 12. So some of the factors when it comes to your bookkeeping pricing, because everybody does not charge the same. Okay, so some of the things you have to kind of look for are transactions and or accounts. Some bookkeepers charge in price based off of the number of transactions that you have per month. We used to do that, but we stopped doing that because it was too much to try to manage. We felt it was a better pricing model to go by the number of accounts that you have to reconcile. Okay. The accounts that have to be reconciled or the accounts that have to be managed include, but are definitely not limited to, your checking accounts, your savings accounts, your credit cards, and your lines of credit. Any accounts that you use to actually move money back and forth within your business. If you got a debit card and you swipe or no swiping out of one of these 4 accounts, it has to be reconciled. Okay. So your bookkeeper may charge you per the number of transactions or the number of accounts that they have to manage on your business's behalf. Next thing is going to be analysis / meetings. Again, access. Okay. Some of the platforms that we were researching, right, particularly, like I said, Bench, we noticed that they did have access to unlimited um, uh, experts, meetings, and things like that. But you have to understand too, as far as with the transactions and the things that are categorized and organized for you, those things 9 times out of 10 are going to be automated, machine based. Okay, so 9 times out of 10, that's going to be whatever you're putting into that system. They're using a machine to organize and sort it out, AI and all that good stuff. And then they have a human to go in and look at what's being done, and they provide you the feedback. Okay, so that's why the pricing point is lower than average. Okay, but then also there will be a time where you're going to get a letter, right? Whether from state, IRS, or something, just saying, hey, buddy, got something we need to kind of straighten out. Okay. If you have a situation like that where you get this letter and you're like, I don't know what they're talking about, I need somebody to represent me or interpret this for me, that's where 9 times out of 10 that pricing may change. This, depending on what it is, it may be priced separately or as an add-on. Okay. So some of the additional services that most bookkeepers price outside of the typical bookkeeping package is going to be, like I said, your software setups, what we call asset management. If you have any equipment or inventory that needs to be tracked, equipment that has to be depreciated, things like that. Those are the things that you'll more likely have to pay extra for. Any type of payroll management, whether we have to process the payroll, run the payroll for your business, or in a lot of cases, if you have payroll software and we have to do what we call the journal entries on the back end to make sure that the payroll information is tying out to the bookkeeping, that's an additional charge. If you ever heard the terms accounts payable and accounts receivable, accounts payable is bill pay management. So if it's particularly for my nonprofits and my larger businesses, if you are still writing checks and you need somebody to pay your bills every week, that's what accounts payable is for. Accounts receivable is going to be your invoicing to your customers. For my nonprofits, that's your grant tracking. Okay. Tax preparation. If you ever heard the term from a bookkeeper called a catch-up or a cleanup, there's a difference. Most of y'all are in the catch-up phase, meaning that you have abandoned your 2024 financials. They are dusty, and you stop doing all that stuff probably in July sometime, because the business be business. But now it's January, you're like, holy smokes, I need somebody to come and get this off my hands. That's a catch-up. Okay. If in a cleanup, there's a good chance that you've already had bookkeeping, okay, and you're transitioning to another bookkeeper, and they notice that some things that the previous bookkeeper has done was probably not accurate, okay, that constitutes a cleanup. We see this a lot when we are transitioning into, well, we're transitioning clients to us, and we see some specific things. I'm gonna tell you one thing that we see all the time, guaranteed, is you'll export your transactions into your accounting software. Any personal money that you've put into your business should not be categorized as income. And any personal money that you've spent within the business, right? So if you had business money and you spent it on your baby Chuck E. Cheese birthday party, no, ma'am, no, sir, that is not a business related expense. Okay. Hear me clearly, especially if you guys are filing, if doing tax filing, you can't assume that your tax preparer is doing your bookkeeping as well. But I guarantee you, those are the two that we see all the time. All the time. Well, we have to clean some things up. And that's important because if you are reporting your income, like say you got 9 to 5 and you're putting $1,000 a month of your 9 to 5 income into your business because you're not making a whole lot of money yet, and you're counting that as income, guess what? You are running the risk of overpaying, right? Taxes. So you have to have somebody that's fully aware that that income should not be counted as earned income. That should be on your balance sheet, not your profit and loss statement. Okay. And then last but certainly not least is tax filing, right? Every bookkeeper does not file taxes. That's why I do the bookkeeping, Latasha does the taxes. Right? But some bookkeepers do. Some tax filers do offer bookkeeping, but you have to be crystal clear and ask them that. And I hope that if you are engaging in any type of financial activity with a professional, they should be offering you an engagement letter or a contract outlining those particular services. They should be separate. They should be separate. Here, separate. Okay? So when we're talking about tax filing, you got to think about your federal, which is the IRS, your state, okay, especially if your state has a state income tax. And in the state of Tennessee, although we don't have income tax, entrepreneurs are still required to pay some level of business tax depending on your entity. Okay. And then the blessed 1099s, right? We can't leave out the 1099s. So in the event, if you are unaware of what the 1099 process is for all my entrepreneurs, and especially if you're service-based, if you're a service-based entrepreneur and you are providing services to another business and that business has paid you over $600 in a calendar year, you have to submit a W-9 to that business and they will in exchange, give you a 1099, meaning that they are telling the IRS that they paid you money that you're going to have to report on your tax return. So now that we talked about bookkeeping, let's talk about who in the world do I need? I hear tax preparer, I hear bookkeeper, I hear CPA. I had somebody ask me today, was I a CPA? I said, no, sir, I'm not a CPA, I'm a bookkeeper. But let's talk about the different financial roles, shall we? So we got the 4 financial roles most entrepreneurs are going to experience in their business is going to be a bookkeeper, a tax preparer, a tax planner, or a CPA. No particular order. So we talked about the bookkeeper already. Like I said, primarily for financial data entry. You cannot assume that the bookkeeper will also be the person that provides analysis. You have to ask that. Okay. The tax preparer, the way I like to compare the bookkeeper and the tax preparer, because they kind of work in tandem. And since I got Latasha on, I'm gonna use my HGTV comparison. So imagine that you have a closet, okay? And your closet needs to be organized. The bookkeeper, okay, is going to take your business closet. We're going to pull all them clothes out, all them shoes out, all them old shoe boxes, all your out of season clothes that's in them big old bins, all of that. We pulling it all out. And then we're going to ask you, do you need this? What's this for? Do you still wear this? Child, what is this? I don't even know what this is, right? Either we're going to keep it, we're going to throw it away, we're going to donate it. Data entry, right? That's what the bookkeeper does. We go out there, we clean the closet out. Then the purpose is to reduce what you got to streamline those clothes so we can maximize the space. So Latasha gonna come in after we done cleared out all the clothes. She gonna look at how you got your shelving and all your racks to say, you know what, we can make this better. So she gonna take them racks down, them shelves out, and she might put some new shelves in there, put some new racks, might get an organizer from the Home Depot or Lowe's, throw that in there. And that's what the tax preparer does. The tax preparer takes the financial data, and the goal is to maximize, right, what you need to do on your taxes. Hear me clearly, business owners. I'm gonna look right here in this TikTok, and I'm coming for Zoom in a minute. I'm coming to y'all first. If you are running a business, the whole purpose, you gonna have to pay taxes. I know you've heard these. I know you hear the gurus on here talking about write everything off. But when it's time for you to go get your loan, or when it's time for you to apply for that grant and they want to see how much you actually made in profit, not just the gross revenue, but your profit, and it's sitting up there with a big old negative number, technically you hadn't made anything. So now you have a hobby in the eyes of the IRS. We're going to cut that out. We're cutting that out in 2025. Zoom will come for you too. You know what y'all be doing over there? Emailing us and sending us DMs talking about, can I write off all this stuff? Well, guess what we're going to ask you? Is it ordinary and is it necessary for your business to have that expense? That's all we're going to ask you. And then you're going to be like, no, right? Hey, that's our job. That's what we're here to do. Okay? So that's the purpose of the bookkeeper and the preparer. We work together as a team, right? The bookkeeper helps organize your financials. We send the reports to the tax preparer, and their goal is to reduce your tax liability. The feedback that you get from the tax preparer should be coming back to the bookkeeper, so we'll know what to be looking for going forward for the upcoming tax year. That's the way it should work. That's the way it should work. Now, when it comes to tax planning, that's a whole nother level. I'm gonna let Latasha speak to that as far as like once you get your taxes and we see that there is a pattern going on with your business growth and things like that, then that's where your tax planning comes in, where we're going to be very strategic on how to keep your liability as low as possible. So come on, Latasha, let's talk a little bit about tax planning. I have something for you that's going to help you not only save some time, but also save some money. Because I I won't say I'm tired, but I am a little tired. Y'all constantly come to me via email, discovery call saying, Sonja, please forgive me. I have wasted all of my time doing X, Y, and Z, and I have not done anything with my taxes. So guess what? I have come up with a solution for you, and it's free. Check this out. I got the tax prep checklist. And this tax prep checklist is going to help you not only save time, but also help you become your tax preparer's best friend. So I'm walking you through everything that you need to do to get ready for tax time, because the goal is for you to file your taxes before the deadline, whether you are a Schedule C business owner, you have to file April 15th, or if you are a partnership or a corporation, you have to file March the 15th. Walking you through your bookkeeping and your compliance as well, because as a business owner, you need to know what's required from you, not only federally, but also from your respective state. So if you click the link in the description, you can get this for free, and you got a little special QR code for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. Okay, so if you're ready to save some time and some money, go ahead and download this. Take care of this as soon as possible, hopefully before the new year. And let's go ahead and ensure that you are going to be able to reduce your tax liability and get maximum savings.
I am Latasha Phillips, owner and CEO of Legacy Pro Accounting. And one thing I want to say is a lot of people confuse tax planning with tax filing, and they are not the same. So tax planning is when you're being proactive and working with a tax advisor throughout the year, you're implementing different strategies to help you decrease your tax liability. So by the time tax season rolls around, you've already implemented different strategies to help you reduce your tax liability so you're not overpaying the IRS. Whereas tax filing is it's time to file your taxes, and basically what you've done all year is all we can work with. Um, and a lot of people don't really understand the importance of tax planning. It's just by the time tax season come around, they wonder why they owe money. Well, you didn't implement any strategies throughout the year. And granted, people get refunds and things like that, but not understanding that you're either getting a refund, number one, because you qualify for refundable credits, or number two, you overpaid the IRS. Is one of those two things that is happening. Or again, you're implementing the strategies that have been put in place to help you reduce your tax liability. So I said all of that to say, start normalizing tax planning and working with a tax advisor so that you're not owing the IRS a bunch of money come April 15th every year.
Right. It's as simple as that, y'all. So remember we said it's levels to this. So you got the bookkeeping, tax filing, and then you have tax planning. So we got to be very aware of that. And we can't be aware unless we're educated, right? So again, I'm going to pause for the calls. If you're on this live, follow GIP Financials. Share this with your friends. Give us some likes and all types of what other little gadgets that's supposed to be on there. I told you I didn't know what the stuff was, but just sitting there, I was over there tapping. I've been tapping hearts. Just tap, 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 tap. We got about 200 hearts. I sure appreciate it, right? I sure appreciate it. And so we talked about tax planning. Let's talk about the CPA for a second. All right, I'm gonna try not to be petty on here because folks be asking, "Are you a CPA?" No, ma'am, no, sir. I am not a CPA. But hear me clearly. When it comes, and I get it. Please let me say, we get it. You want to make sure that the people that you're working with are credentialed, right? But I don't know. My Bible says, folk by their fruit, right? So if folks ask us for referral or references and things like that, I have no problem doing it because I got folks that will speak for GIP Financials, right? And then when it comes to working with individuals and their money, right, you better be on top of your game. You better not be out here. You better not be out here messing with folks' money, right? So you got to do what you're supposed to do. But let me talk about, I need to also, I guess, add on here as well the enrolled agent. But the whole purpose of the CPA and the enrolled agent for the purposes of small businesses, right, is you need them when you got some big boy stuff going on, right? We talking about like audits. We're talking about any type of things where you might have to owe like prior stuff, prior year payment plan, taxes, things where you have to have a representative because the IRS will only talk to two credentialed individuals. That's the CPA and the EA, right? On your behalf. Is what it's talking about the audits, right, Latasha? I want to make sure that I'm saying it right. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, but also, well, yeah, when you're talking about the audits, go ahead.
Yeah. No, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say there's also another designation that which I use is it's called AFSP, so I can represent the clients that I prepared tax returns for, so I can speak to the IRS on their behalf. It's called a AFPA, Annual Season Tax Filing Prepare. So that's
Okay.
another one as well.
Gotcha. All right, so you heard it here first. So that's going to be some of the designations that I would probably add that as one of the questions that I would ask a tax preparer. Do you have that? Like if something happens with my tax filing, particularly the one that you filed, are you gonna be able to represent me if something go down, right? So you need to be able to ask folks that, Latasha, if you're on TikTok, can you put that acronym in the comments so they'll be able to see that? So that's something that you need to know. Now, for nonprofits, let me say this, because an audit in a nonprofit is not the same thing as an audit for a for-profit or an individual. It's not the same thing. In a lot of cases, for a nonprofit, an audit is necessary depending on what type of grant money that you're receiving and stuff like that. So when it comes to a nonprofit audit, a CPA firm is recommended. And let me also say this, for a nonprofit, you got your audit and then you have your 990. A CPA is not required for you to file the 990. Okay, that's basically your financial statement. It's not like you're paying taxes, because nonprofits don't pay tax exempt nonprofits. Basically, 501c3, not paying tax. Okay, but if you want to know more about the 4 financial roles, we do have videos on our YouTube channel for that as well. All right, so now that we talked about accounting and bookkeeping, let's talk about tax filing. And so when it comes to tax filing, there are some pricing factors. And so I've got a couple of things on here, but I'm definitely going to let Latasha, I'm gonna give the alley-oop to Latasha. So if there's anything that needs to be clarified. But when it comes to having a tax preparer file your taxes, the pricing is going to definitely depend on what type of entity you have as a business and as far as what type of activity that you have. We just found out, well, a couple days ago, about the W-9. That's the document that you need for your 1099 for entrepreneurs, service-based businesses. And with that being said, if you are a single member LLC, you are recognized tax-wise in the eyes of the federal government, the IRS, as a disregarded entity, meaning a sole proprietor, right? Boy, when we first got into this thing, folks was like, I filed my LLC return. We were like, where, boo? Where is the LLC tax return? I was it. What you talking about? You talking about the Schedule C. Just want to clarify that. But hear me, if you are a single member LLC, you have to file your Schedule C tax form with your personal tax return, your 1040. Okay? Now, if you are a partnership, if you're an LLC that's taking the S Corp election, or if you're a C corporation, those 3 particular tax returns can be filed separately from your personal return. As a matter of fact, those 3, the partnership, the S Corp, and the C Corp, have to be filed a month before the personal return. Okay, so when it comes to your entity, that pricing is definitely going to change. Okay, so I'm telling you that now. The tax year that you're filing, if you're doing anything in the prior year, please know you're going to have to pay more for that. If you are filing a prior year tax return and you know you ain't did it, you trying to do it now, you're going to pay more for that. Okay? And then the other thing with the additional services, there are going to be additional forms depending on what you have to file. Like, for example, for me, I had a rental property that required an additional form, right? So I had to do the Schedule C, the 1040, as well as the Schedule E, right? Every form that you add for your taxes is going to be extra work for the tax preparer. So just know you're going to be paying more for that. Okay. Your 1099s. Preparing the 1099s is different from filing the 1099. That's going to be an additional cost, right? If you're a business owner and you're generating a specific amount of income, those quarterly tax payments, if you want your tax preparer to help you with that, that's going to be extra. You heard Latasha talk about tax planning. That's going to be an additional cost. If the tax preparer does bookkeeping, get it in your mind now. Those are 2 separate functions with 2 separate prices. Okay? And then any other additional forms, I forgot one that's pretty common with the Schedule C entrepreneurs, like if you have a home-based business, like right here, I have a dedicated space for GIP financials in my home. So I can use the home office deduction form to the percentage of, square footage for my office as a percentage of, well, let me go back. I take my total square footage of the house and then whatever the square footage is of my office, right? Say it's 10%. Any expenses pertaining to the house, whether it's repairs, like utilities, things like that, internet, all that type of stuff, anything that needs to be repaired that affects the house, like the HVAC, stuff like that, those things, I can take 10% of those and deduct it for my taxes because that affects my home-based business. Y'all see what I'm talking about right there. So we talked about accounting, bookkeeping, we talked about taxes. Let's talk about accounting software. So I think the biggest thing when it came to the bench closure is that bench shut down the platform and folks weren't able to get access to their information. Make sure that you're aware that, especially from what we've gathered, okay, from the information and the research that we've noticed on a lot of the accounting platforms and bookkeeping platforms that are of lower price point, the software that they're using is proprietary, meaning that you can only use that software with that individual business, right? So Bench Accounting had their own software that they were using to, categorize and things like that. So the pro of that obviously is that you got a cheaper price point, but the con to that is when it comes to a situation where you need to transition out, it might not be as easy for you to do that. Okay. Unless if you saw one of my videos a couple weeks ago, I said if you're going to export, make sure you export in what we call Excel format or comma separated value format, CSV. That's CSV format is kind of like the universal remote control format for spreadsheets, right? So that's what we're saying with that. But when we talk about accounting software, one, you have to know why you're using the software. Okay. Most of us, we just need to categorize our income and expenses. But if you're a nonprofit, there should be not one cotton picking nonprofit on here listening to me right now. Your accounting software better have some budgeting in there. It better. QuickBooks Online Plus. Hello. Right? You got to do it. And every nonprofit that under the sound of my voice, make sure that you register with TechSoup. Get your accounting software from TechSoup because you're going to be paying in a year, right? You're going to be saving what you will pay QuickBooks in a month, you will pay for that same software in a whole year. Okay. So just be very aware of that. Thank y'all for joining. Give me some more hearts and all that other stuff. Tap, 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 tap. All right. Who's going to have access to your accounting software? Y'all, there have been too many clients that have come to Latasha and I saying they're using QuickBooks and they don't have access to it. That is unacceptable. Especially if you paying somebody. That is unacceptable. So one of the things that we do at GIP, and if you get QuickBooks with us, there's a function called the primary user. And the function of the primary user is that person has the authority to shut it all down and shut everybody out. When we do QuickBooks Online setups for our client, the owner is the primary user. So that means if you get sick and tired of us, you can shut us out and still have access to your software. That's the way it's supposed to go. Because here, that's the transparency with GIP. But we're gonna give you the authority that you pay for, quite honestly, right? That's what you're paying for. So you have to make sure that you have proper access to your accounting software. Okay. If you are a for-profit, you as the owner should have access to that software. If you have a financial lead, such as a CFO or a controller or a bookkeeper, Even your tax preparer, right? If they are dual functioned, should have access to your QuickBooks. If you're a nonprofit, you as the executive director or the CEO should have access. Your CFO, whoever your financial lead, should have access, and your board treasurer should have access to your accounting software. When you're thinking about purchasing accounting software, also be aware of, and I'm speaking to my primarily my e-commerce folks, my Shopify folks, the Stripe, PayPal, all that good stuff. If you have those platforms, before you connect them to QuickBooks, please get with an expert before you do that, because that it can get complicated, right? So, but even with that, if you're using those platforms, just know that um that information also has to be connected to QuickBooks in some way, shape, or form, so your financials can be accurate. But I'm telling you now, before you connect them, please, be like James Brown, please, 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 right? Get with somebody. Let your bookkeeper know you got those platforms before you start connecting stuff. Okay. That's why those QuickBooks setups are important. Invest in those things, because you don't want to go in there all willy-nilly trying to do it on your own, and then you mess something up. And then also mobile app access. QuickBooks has a mobile app, and it's great. Especially if you sitting on the couch and you need something to do, you get on there instead of doom scrolling, you get on there and categorize some of those expenses. Why don't you? And upload some of those receipts. Okay. Thank y'all for joining. I appreciate it. I'm getting some hearts. Don't play with it. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Right. All that good stuff. So that is what we are talking about when it comes to accounting software. So what about spreadsheets? Spreadsheets have their place, but I'm telling you now, don't just open up Excel and just get the tip tapping, right? You got to have something that's going to work in your favor. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to introduce you to the one and only DIY tracker created by Latasha Phillips, accounting manager, GIP Financials, and the CEO of Legacy Pro Accounting. So for those of you that are on the Zoom, you're going to be able to see the blessed DIY tracker right now. And for those on TikTok, come on, it's still time. You can go ahead, click the link in the bio, register, and just hop on in. Latasha's gonna let you in, right? So with the DIY tracker, what it is a formula-based spreadsheet. So not only can you export your income and expenses and add them to the tracker, but you can also categorize them. You can categorize your income, categorize your expenses, and you can get some reporting in that thing. It comes with the profit and loss statement. It comes with the balance sheet. And Latasha has an element in here for you to budget, right? For your expenses and budget your income. It's a phenomenal product, and it is extremely affordable. As of right now, Latasha's gonna put the link, give you some homework. I'll put the link in the TikTok. Latasha has the Boss Your Books program where you can invest in the DIY tracker, and she's gonna walk you through how to set that bad boy up, right? For $147. You better get it. If you know you're not ready for QuickBooks right now, you need to go ahead and get this DIY tracker and get the Boss Up Your Books program. So for those of you who are on Zoom, I want to show you, you got your chart of accounts here where you can walk through your income and your expenses. All those things are customizable. I'm gonna try to find a way to do that on TikTok. Maybe we just have to, you know what, I'm gonna do what's the thing, the Opus clip, and do the clips and put them on TikTok. I'll probably do that. You have the actual input tab where you can see all your transactions and you can categorize them based off of what they are. Your expenses are your income. And then every time that you categorize it, it's automatically reflected in your profit and loss. so you can see what your bottom line is every month, and it has year to date. And then it has a comparison tab where we were talking about that budget, right? You can create your budget. So if you've got, $1,000 a month budgeted for your income, but you only made 500, then you got some data that you can work with. What happened? Did you not post on social media enough? Did you not have a sale? Something like that. You get, right? With data, that's where you can plan and take your business from point A to point B. And it also has not only the profit and loss and balance sheet reporting, but it also has graphs and charts. So you can present these as well if you're presenting a pitch with a potential investor, pitch contest, a grantor, whatnot. You got some hardcore numbers here and some colors that look really professional. You got your profit margin on here. It's giving all the data. Okay. And like I said, it also has the information for you to record your assets, your liabilities, and your equity, which are your components for your balance sheet. So you got all that type of good stuff on here. And when you invest in the tracker, then as Latasha provides updates, you'll be the first ones in line to have access to those updates as well. So make sure that you take advantage of the DIY tracker. It is the bomb. It is the bomb. All right. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with spreadsheets. You just have to have one that's going to work for you. Okay. Gotcha. So, in essence, if you're not using accounting software, y'all, you are not maximizing your money. Hey, I'm not knocking pencil and paper, but hey, we growing a business, you're gonna need something a little bit more robust than that. Okay. All right. So as we're talking about accounting software, we can't talk about that without talking about the financial reports. And so, like I said at the beginning, at minimum, what you should be getting from your bookkeeper is your profit and loss and your balance sheet. And I like to talk about the financial reports like a tree. So the balance sheet would be like the trunk of the tree, right? The importance of the trunk of the tree, like if you cut it and you see all the rings and it shows you how old the tree is and all that good stuff like that. So the trunk of the tree is the essence. That's where the nutrients of the tree is. You can tell the health of the tree. That's what the balance sheet does. It's going to let you know the assets, the things in the business that you own, such as your accounts, your assets, your inventory, stuff like that. And then, let me see. Oh, you can't, it's too long for TikTok. Okay, gotcha. So I tell you what, I'll make sure to add it to my link tree. How about that? I add it to my link tree. So y'all hear that TikTok, I might add to my link tree. All right. So the balance sheet is going to be the report that your lenders and more likely your grantors are going to see when they're looking at the health of your business. Assets, what you own, liabilities, what you owe, right? And then the equity, which is the ownership of your business. The profit and loss statement represent the leaves and the fruit of the tree, because if the tree is healthy, then it's going to yield leaves and fruit, right? So the profit and loss, or the P&L, is going to talk about how well your business is actually performing, right? Income minus expenses. If you got a positive number at the bottom, that means you generated a profit. Woo, right? If you got a negative number, that means you got a loss. Doesn't mean a bad thing. That means we got to re-strategize some things. Yes, yes. And then last but certainly not least, and like I said, this is kind of I don't want to call it an optional report, but some bookkeepers do charge extra for cash flow analysis. But we got the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is basically going to let you know, out of all the money that is coming to your business, where is it going? Okay. For in regards to the tree, tree has roots in the ground. You gotta have some water for that tree to grow. If the tree not getting water, tree gonna die. Ma'am, sir, if your business is not getting cash, it We'll die, we ain't speaking no death, but I'm just telling you, you gotta have cash, otherwise it will surely dissipate. So as we wrap up, here are the commonly asked questions for bookkeepers. Let me try something here. I hope I don't turn y'all off. Let me see. I got a little juice on my phone. Can I swap this thing around? Flip the camera. Hot dog. Oh, I tell you, what's the truth? All right. So here are the questions for bookkeepers. So if you're looking for a bookkeeper, question number 1, do you have clients similar to my business, particularly like in your industry? So there are bookkeepers who dish out that primarily work with like e-commerce, that primarily work with like truck drivers and things like that. You have the right to ask that bookkeeper about that. Okay. And then shoot, check their social media. You'll be able to find out from there too. All right. Next, what accounting software does that bookkeeper support? Okay. So, like I said, those lower price options are normally going to be using proprietary software. So, just be aware of that. So, if you're using proprietary software, I highly, highly encourage you to, on a monthly basis, export that data so you won't be stuck not having your stuff. Okay. Ask the bookkeeper, do they prepare taxes? Okay. Also, and just remember, if they do prepare taxes, just know that there are going to be separate pricing for that. Next, what is your pricing and what does it include? Please ask them, what does their prices include? Okay. And then next, how can I access my data for backup purposes? Okay. So I told y'all I'm still learning this TikTok. Shoot. I wish I would have known that earlier. I could have been holding the phone the whole time. Come on, Cletus. All right. So the questions for tax preparers. Okay. When do you begin the 2024 tax filing? What is your turnaround, your average turnaround time? Please know, y'all, that the tax preparers are going to have different clients that have different needs. And when they start getting on social media saying, hey, come on and set your appointment, they're not just saying that just because. They saying it because when January come around, everybody will be flocking to them and you don't want to get caught in the mix. Okay. One of the things that we also, Latasha and I talk about too, you really want to see what type of street cred your tax preparer got? Ask them if they actually filed the specific form number. So say, for example, if you're LLC and you take the S Corp election, that's going to be the 1120S, right? So don't say, do you do tax filing for S Corps? Ask them, do they file the form 1120? And if they start looking like they see crickets, you already know they don't know about that form, right? So you need to be aware of that. That's just a little trick, just saying. Next thing, what is your pricing again, and what does your pricing include? Okay, and just know that your tax preparer's pricing is going to be, different, but that's why you need to shop around and ask questions. And last, do you provide year-round support? Y'all don't get caught up with these seasonal tax preparers. And then something happens, you get that letter, that hey big head letter from the IRS, and you try to contact them folks and they gone. Right? Come on and unmute, Latasha. I know you I didn't even say something. Come on, sugar.
I was just piggybacking off what you said. They gone. They on something else until next tax season.
Yeah, it's just a mess. Now,
But yeah,
are there any other
we
questions?
provide year-round support. I mean, it may not be free, but we provide it.
I'm just saying. You got to hear that. And y'all, come on, y'all business owners. We just got to get to the point now where we have to really invest in our businesses. There's no way around it. Okay? There's no way around it. We got to start investing in our businesses. So especially if you guys are still like working a 9 to 5 and you still have like, your business as a side hustle, start just be thinking about those things. Shop early, shop around early. Save your money and then invest that way. Okay. So that's what I would suggest. And so as we're wrapping up, since we've talked about all this good stuff, let's talk about the business essentials. So, like I said, when it comes to accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes, we can't talk about those things and not talk about compliance. So, just make sure that you have what you need for your business, such as your business EIN. You have a business checking account. Let 2025 be the year that we are not commingling business funds and personal funds here. All right. Love you. Next, business license. Make sure that you are, just because you got the LLC from the Secretary of State does not mean that you are in business. You have to have a license stating that your entity, your LLC, can do business within your state. I preach this all the time to the state of Tennessee people. Just because you got that LLC from the Secretary of State don't mean a squat. Folks use LLCs for different purposes. Okay. So you have to also go to in the state of Tennessee, your county clerk, and get your business license filed. Okay. Check with your municipality to see where you need to get your business license from if you're outside of Tennessee. Okay, the state Secretary of State, tongue tied. If you have an LLC or a corporation, you get your articles of organization from and filed with the and registered with your respective state's Secretary of State. Hello, BOI. I know that the BOI form right now is voluntary, but we don't know when this thing gonna flip flop again. I would say go ahead and file it. It's not gonna take you a whole lot of time to do that. But I digress. Businesses. If you don't have it now, make sure that you at least look into getting some liability insurance for your business. Folks are always looking and lurking, trying to sue people. Okay. And you don't want to get caught up in a situation where especially if you are a business and if your business is not within an LLC, you don't want to be in a situation where your personal assets are going to be compromised. Okay. And then also with your business, we got your federal taxes as well as your state taxes. Don't assume you just have to file your federal taxes. My state of Tennessee people, I'm coming for y'all one more time. Okay. For those of us who have LLCs, you also have to file franchise and excise tax at minimum, even if your entity did not generate income, you have to file a minimum of $100, minimum F&E tax. Okay, so be aware of that. And also check with your respective states' Department of Revenue, depending on your business industry, to see what other types of taxes that your business is responsible for. Okay, business and or sales tax. Okay, so just be aware of that. I'm going to zoom in here. So this is actually in the link in our bio as well, is our tax prep checklist, just so you are aware, and it's free, so you can be aware of what you need to do to prepare for tax time. Again, if you do everything that you need to do on this tax prep checklist and you hire Latasha, she's going to love you forever. She's like, I see you've been following GIP financials. I see you. I see you, right? Okay, so make sure that you're aware of that. And then also at the bottom here, we're always pushing our YouTube channel because we're all about education. Hey y'all, thanks so much for tuning in to the From Chaos to Clarity Unleash Your Business Potential podcast. Again, my name is Sonja Jones of GIP Financials, your Mr. Miyagi of Money. And look, if you learned something from this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure that you that you subscribe. If you have some little nuggets, add some comments to the comment section of this podcast. But most importantly, I want you to share it with your fellow entrepreneurs. We want to share this good old fundamental business finance education so you can have the tools necessary to know your numbers and grow your business. All right. Take care, y'all. I'll catch you on the next episode.